Hello everyone, and thank you for returning to my channel. Today, we'll continue turning the newest pages in the turbulent story of single mother Hoai Ca and the steadfast police officer, Hung. In the previous episode, Tony, the little boy whom Hoai Ca sees as her whole world, was rushed to the hospital with a serious illness. For 3 long days, the hospital became the place where they pinned all their hopes, as well as the place where worry piled up like an unshakable shadow. Hung, despite his busy work schedule, stayed by Hoai Ca's side without leaving, tending to Tony with every spoon of water, every breath. Hoai Ca barely closed her eyes, the dark circles under them a testament to nights spent both caring for her child and fearing the moment a doctor might step out with bad news. 3 days of waiting dragged on endlessly, each tick of the clock like a knife carving deeper into their anxiety. And then, the test results finally came back. But this was not merely an answer about Tony's health, it was the doorway to a chain of unexpected events that could completely alter the lives of everyone involved. For at the very moment Hoai Ca was trembling as she took the envelope, in another corner of the hospital, Tieu San, Hung's younger sister, received a mysterious phone call. From the other end came a shattering revelation. A truth so unbelievable that, had she not heard it herself, Tieu San might never have accepted it. Everything was tied to the real identities of herself and Hung, a story hidden for many years, buried under silence, lies, and fragmented memories. Just that one sentence was enough to shake Tieu San's entire world. She stood frozen, the sounds around her fading into the distance, as if the whole hospital had turned into a cold, empty void. Questions surged in her mind. Who was her real family? Was the past she trusted truly real? And Hung, the brother she had always respected, had he known all along? Today, every secret will be unveiled. And once the truth comes to light, there will be no going back. Stay tuned, because every second of this episode could be the most crucial piece of the entire story. By a stroke of luck, when the hospital finally delivered the results, Hoai Ca could barely breathe, waiting for the doctor to speak. Even the soft rustle of paper made her heartbeat race. Her eyes trembled as they fixed on the sheet, still carrying the fresh scent of ink, each line of text stretching endlessly under the bright white lights of the clinic. And then, the doctor's voice rang out clearly, each word like undoing a knot that had bound her heart for days. Tony was perfectly fine. He had no life-threatening illness as she had feared. It was merely a viral fever, one that had left his body exhausted and feverish. With proper care, fever-reducing medicine, warmth, good nutrition, and adequate rest, he would recover quickly. The doctor reminded her once more that, to be absolutely certain, Tony should return for a full checkup in 6 months. But for Hoai Ca, that was more than enough good news to lift a crushing weight off her shoulders. Her eyes grew hot, tears welling as the pressure, anxiety, and fear of a bleak future crumbled away like sand washed downstream. She turned to look at Tony, now sleeping peacefully after days of struggling with the fever. His cheeks were rosier, his breathing steady, like the gentle rhythm of a lullaby. Hoai Ca gently brushed back the damp hair from his forehead, feeling the warmth seep into her palm. In that moment, she realized that every hardship, every sacrifice she had endured was worth it, as long as her son was healthy. Beside her, Mother Ha stood with a warm smile, her eyes shining with joy no less than Hoai Ca's own. She placed a gentle hand on Hoai Ca's shoulder, her voice steady and kind. "Don't worry, dear. From now on, let me take care of Tony. You can focus on work without a single worry." Hoai Ca nodded, squeezing the woman's hand tightly, a silent thank you passing between them. The heavy air that had weighed down the hospital room for days was gone, replaced by a lightness that felt like blue skies and warm sunshine. The moments that had dragged by like heavy stones were now swept away by the breeze of relief. Hoai Ca bent down to kiss her son's forehead, silently thanking life for giving her another chance to smile, and to keep walking forward, even though the road ahead would still have its share of challenges. Ever since Hoai Ca decided to return to Hung's side, everyone's lives seemed to shift in a very different way. Ha, the man who had once quietly harbored feelings for Hoai Ca, made a silent decision of his own, to go out and work. He understood that perhaps, at this moment, both he and Hoai Ca needed a certain distance. Partly to avoid the gaze that, whenever it met hers, sent his heart reeling. And partly to give himself a private space, quiet enough to sort through the tangled emotions inside him. The early days of working away from home were, for Ha, a stretch of quiet monotony. But soon, the job, new colleagues, and the busy rhythm of life gradually helped him regain his balance. From time to time, when he found himself standing in front of a children's section, his eyes would stop on the small, adorable items. He would think of Tony, the little boy who always called out to him in that clear, innocent voice. And without hesitation, he would buy a warm knitted hat, then add a set of new clothes, picturing Tony wearing them with a bright, beaming smile. For Hoai Ca, he chose a simple yet meaningful gift, a quiet way of saying thank you for being part of the reason he had changed. And for his mother, Ha carefully picked out a sturdy pair of shoes, hoping she would feel comfortable with every step she took. On the day he returned, Ha placed each gift on the table, his hands trembling slightly, though his eyes shone with warmth. When his mother received the new shoes, she couldn't hide her radiant smile. She realized her son had grown more mature, more thoughtful, more considerate of others than before. Deep down, she knew that part of this change came from Hoai Ca, the young woman who had, without meaning to, become a catalyst, helping Ha see life from a different perspective. And quietly, she felt grateful to Hoai Ca for that. As for Hung, the past few days had felt like walking through an endless storm. He had done everything he could, selling off every asset he had saved over the years, from valuable possessions to treasured keepsakes. On top of that, he had borrowed from everyone he could, knocking on the doors of old friends and former comrades, clinging to a single hope, to repay the enormous debt his mother had left behind and, at any cost, redeem the house that held the last memories of their family. But reality was harsher than he had imagined. The debt wasn't just huge, it grew relentlessly, interest piling on interest, swelling like a dark tide that devoured every effort he made. Despite pouring his heart and soul into it, he was forced to face the brutal truth, that house could never be reclaimed. Today, Hung had resolved to do the hardest thing of his life, to meet Tieu San, the younger sister he had always protected, and tell her everything. There was no longer any way to hide it. He had to let her know the horrifying truth about the mother they had both trusted, and, along with it, reveal the secret about their very identities. Inside Hung's mind, questions circled endlessly. Could San bear such a shock? Would she resent him for keeping it from her for so long? And once the truth came to light, would the bond of siblinghood, the only thing still intact between them, begin to crack? He walked down the road toward their meeting place, each step heavier with the weight of the past and the dread of what lay ahead. He knew that once this door opened, there would be no way back. When Hung arrived at Tieu San's house, the scene before him made him stop in his tracks. At the gate, Tieu San and her ex-husband stood facing each other, their voices laced with tension, every word like a blade cutting through the already heavy air. Tieu San's face was flushed with anger, while her ex-husband tried to maintain his composure, but the way his fists clenched betrayed the strain reaching its limit. Hung quickly stepped forward, his voice low but firm, urging both of them to calm down. He didn't take sides, only trying to steer the conversation back to reason so things wouldn't escalate further. His measured words eventually made San's ex-husband sigh and soften his tone. He glanced at San one more time, then turned to Hung with a small nod of thanks before heading toward the gate. Before leaving, he said he would return another day to pick up their child. As the sound of the engine faded into the distance, the front yard fell into silence. Tieu San took a deep breath, as if trying to shake off the weight of the confrontation. Hung stepped inside with his sister, and they sat down at the familiar wooden table in the corner of the living room. The warm yellow light from the old lamp cast a mix of weariness and quiet resolve across San's face. She looked up, meeting her brother's eyes. In that gaze, Hung saw the sensitivity and perceptiveness he had always known she possessed. She had sensed something unusual the moment he arrived. San's voice was slow but unwavering. "Tell me the truth, brother. I'm grown now. I'm strong enough to face whatever it is, no matter how bad." In that instant, Hung felt his chest tighten. He knew this was the moment he could no longer avoid. The truth he was about to speak would forever change how they both saw their past, and themselves. Hung stared deep into his sister's eyes, as if making sure Tieu San was truly ready to hear it all. His shoulders trembled, not from fear, but from the crushing weight of the words he was about to release, a weight that had been pressing on him for months. He drew in a long breath, the soft sigh breaking the stillness of the room, and his voice dropped, each word heavy like stones sinking into water. "San. Mother owes a massive debt. I sold everything, our house, our belongings, even the keepsakes tied to our family's memories, just to pay for her. And it didn't stop there. I borrowed from everyone I could, friends, old comrades, anyone I knew. I had hoped that, if I gave it everything, we could still save the house, the one place I believed could still be your home." He paused, his hands gripping the table so tightly that his knuckles turned white. Silence stretched between them, broken only by the ticking clock, each tick like the countdown of a bomb waiting to explode. "But," his voice faltered, "this debt, it's unlike any other. Interest upon interest, growing every day, like a monster devouring every hope I had. I couldn't keep the house. It's no longer ours." Tieu San sat frozen. Her hand on the table curled slightly, her fingers trembling almost imperceptibly. But Hung knew, this was only the beginning of the truth. He inhaled again, this time deeper, bracing himself for the plunge. "There's something else," he lifted his gaze, pain flickering in his eyes. "Mother, she once hired someone to harm Hoai Ca." Tieu San's eyes widened, her lips parting without sound. It wasn't just intimidation or pressure, she hired thugs to beat her. And, she wanted to throw Hoai Ca into the river. If that day, the fisherman, hadn't happened to pass by and pull her out in time, then, Hung swallowed hard. You would never have had the chance to see Hoai Ca again. The air in the room seemed to freeze solid. The ticking clock still sounded, but now each beat was like a hammer sealing shut a door in Tieu San's heart. She sat rigid, her eyes wide, pupils tightening in horror. She had always known her mother was possessive, forcing her children to obey her will. But never once, had she imagined their mother would cross the line of morality and conscience, to become the one ordering such a crime. No, that's impossible, her voice shook, the words catching in her throat. Her body seemed drained of strength, her shoulders collapsing, her breath ragged. The memories of her mother, from family dinners to childhood moments, were now being crushed by an invisible hand, shattering into pieces. Hung stayed silent. He knew that any words of comfort now would be meaningless. Only time could help his sister accept this truth, a truth that had ripped away the illusion of the family they had tried so desperately to hold on to. Tieu San was still reeling from what Hung had just revealed about the massive debt, the lost house, and, most shocking of all, the fact that their mother had once hired someone to harm Hoai Ca. She sat there, her eyes locked on her brother, as if searching for the slightest crack in his words, a sign that this was all just a misunderstanding. But there was no hesitation in Hung's gaze, only the deep, long-buried pain of someone who had carried this truth for far too long. Hung knew that once he had started, there was no turning back. He had to tell his sister everything, to free her from the illusion she'd been living in. Leaning slightly toward her, his voice dropped lower, heavy with emotion. "San, there's one more thing. Something I've kept hidden all these years. The woman we've always called mother, she's not our biological mother." Tieu San froze, as if he had spoken a language she had never heard before. What do you mean? Not our real mother?" Her voice trembled. Hung nodded slowly. "When you were only a few months old, our real mother left. She walked away from our home, from everything, and never came back. The woman we live with now, the one you, I, and even Hoai Ca have always called mother, is actually our stepmother. She couldn't have children of her own, so when she married our father, she took us in, raised us, and, at one point, may have truly loved us as her own." A chill ran down Tieu San's spine. The memories of her childhood, the smiles, the gentle strokes through her hair, the times she was held in warm arms, suddenly warped, as if shrouded in a cold mist, leaving her unsure of what had ever been real. Hung's gaze grew heavier as he went on. "But, she's an extremely possessive person. And you know, everything I've just told you, the debt, the loss of the house, her hiring thugs to hurt Hoai Ca, all of it comes from her selfishness and obsession with control. Now she's drained every last bit of our assets, left me with an enormous debt, and fled to escape the consequences. I know, as children, we're taught to be filial, but I can't let you keep living in a false truth." Tieu San shook her head repeatedly, her eyes glistening yet holding back tears. She wanted to deny it, but each of Hung's words sank into her mind like nails driven deep. The room fell into a suffocating silence, so heavy that even the ticking of the clock rang out with a sharp, metallic edge. Inside her, the once cherished image of her mother shattered into countless fragments, and in the middle of that wreckage was a hollow void so cold, she had no idea whether to fill it with anger, grief, or simply the bitter resignation of letting go. ChatGPT said, as if wanting to etch into her heart the truth that, no matter how cruel reality might be, he would always stand by her side. His voice softened now, no longer taut with tension, carrying instead a quiet weariness laced with steadfast resolve. "San, I know this is painfully hard to accept. But I hope we can get through it together. Even if we lose the house, the money, or our faith in people, we still have each other. And that's what truly matters." He paused, then continued slowly, each word weighed with care. "If one day, our real mother does come back, I hope you can face her calmly. Try to understand her and, if you can, forgive her. Not to forget everything that happened, but to set your own heart free." Tieu San lowered her head, her hands clenched tightly in her lap. She was still battling the storm of emotions raging inside her. Hung leaned closer, his eyes sincere. "And I also hope you won't blame yourself or feel guilty toward the stepmother who left. We have done everything we could to be good to her. We fulfilled our duty as children, San. What happens beyond that is no longer in our hands." The room fell into silence. Tieu San lifted her gaze, her tear-brimmed eyes carrying both pain and the faint glimmer of having found an anchor. She understood that from this moment on, no matter how difficult the road ahead might be, she and Hung would walk it together. No one would have to bear the weight alone again. So, will Hung and Tieu San be able to trace the faint, fragile clues from the past to find the biological mother who vanished so many years ago? Where is that woman now, amid the bustle of some unfamiliar city, or hidden away in a remote countryside? Is she living in comfort or in hardship, in freedom or in hiding? And after all these years, does her heart still hold a small corner for the 2 children she left behind when they were barely old enough to remember her face? Their search could lead them to a tearful reunion, where long overdue apologies and forgiveness might come too late to change the past, but just in time to redeem a part of their family's memory. Yet there is also the possibility that the door they are about to open will reveal truths far harsher, far more painful, secrets not buried to protect, but hidden so that no one would ever have to face them. And once those truths are known, will they still want to keep searching, or will they choose to let go, holding on instead to the last, fragile remnants of the good memories they have left? And what about Hoai Ca, the woman who has weathered so many storms? Has she truly grown strong enough to lay all her wounds to rest? Is she ready to return to the place once called home, to take Hung's hand and continue the warm, peaceful days they once dreamed of? Or will unhealed scars still hold her back, knowing that ahead may lie unseen trials and storms yet to be named, ready to sweep away whatever fragile peace they've just begun to reclaim? All the answers still lie ahead. The road will not be easy, but every step, every decision will become a piece of the puzzle that shapes the picture of their fate. And when the final pieces fall into place, that picture could be one of a warm reunion, or the ending that closes the door on every hope left unfulfilled. Stay tuned for the next episodes, where every detail, every moment, even a glance or a single line of dialogue, could shift the course of the entire story. Don't look away, because the very second you do, the truth might be revealed.
Chào tất cả mọi người đã quay trở lại với video của mình. Thì hôm nay mình tiếp tục đưa đến với mọi người câu chuyện tình yêu của mẹ đơn thân Lý Hoai Ca và cảnh sát Hùng. Mình hy vọng rằng video này sẽ mang đến nhiều video hay, nhiều ý nghĩa trong cuộc sống cho mọi người, cũng như là có thể giúp cho mọi người có một chút niềm tin hơn về tình yêu và cuộc sống. Như mọi người cũng đã biết thì trong tập này Hùng thì bị gặp quá nhiều khó khăn khi anh đã phải nói hết ra sự thật, phơi bày sự thật về mẹ của mình cho Tieu San là em gái của anh biết. Thì cũng từ qua tập phim này chúng ta đã biết được một sự thật về thân thế của Hùng và Tieu San. Hóa ra người mà bấy lâu nay hai người gọi là mẹ thì lại không phải là mẹ ruột của họ. Vậy thì liệu Tieu San và Hùng có tìm được mẹ ruột hay không, và hành trình sắp tới sẽ còn gian nan và khó khăn như thế nào, thì mình mời mọi người cùng theo dõi ở video sau ở ngày mai để có thể xem thêm và biết thêm chi tiết nha mọi người.